Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and welcome to another of my random, chatty, miscellaneous videos where I talk about various bits and pieces. So every now and then I make one of these videos that I call Books and Things, where I talk about books and things and various bits and pieces that don't fit into other videos. So I have a bunch of things to get through today, some Booktube favourites, some writing stuff, favourite board games and video games of late and that kind of thing. And I think I will, just dive straight in. I'm going to start off with some sort of writing stuff. If you don't know, as well as being a booktuber and someone who loves to read, I also write historical fiction. I've had 2 novels published, The Secrets of Hartwood and The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery. And over the last year or so, I have started, well, this is like the second time, releasing short stories on my Patreon because I really love writing short stories as well as novels, but it is like very, very hard to get short stories traditionally published because there's just not like a massive market for them. So I published a couple of short stories last year on my Patreon, and I thought I would do the same again this year with a few stories. So I am releasing a story today called Top Hat, and I thought I would release Top Hat in February as a kind of like Valentine's Day short story because it is a 1920s rom-com, shall we say, about 2 people who wake up in a hotel room and don't remember how they got there because they were very drunk the night before, and so they are looking back on the previous evening trying to piece together what happened. So it's both like very sitcom rom-com setup but in the 1920s, and I had a lot of fun looking up all the 1920s slang when I was writing it. So this is a sort of long short story, I guess. It's about like 9,000, 10,000 words, so it's sort of 40 to 50 pages, and it has like chapters. So it's a bit more substantial than the 2 short stories I published back in October, and I personally had a lot of fun writing it. And it was quite fun to write a slightly different kind of story in a slightly different time period to what I usually write about. So if anyone would like to read Top Hat, then that would be lovely. So how I do it, when I put a short story on Patreon, if you're already subscribed to my Patreon, then you can just read the short story, it'll be available. But if you're not subscribed to my Patreon, you can just buy the short story on its own separately for £3, which is the lowest you can set it at. I'm also gonna set up like all 3 stories, so Top Hat and the 2 I released back in October, like in a bundle on Patreon for like £5, so you can buy like all 3 together if you didn't read the 2 in October, if that makes sense. So yes, that seems like more logistics than I needed to share with you, but I really like Top Hat and I hope some of you will like it too. And yeah, it seemed to go well releasing short stories on Patreon back in October, so I think I will continue to do that every now and then. I've got another 2 I might release in the summer, which are both shorter, so I'll do them together. Meanwhile, I am working on a novel, but you know, I have nothing to tell you about that yet. Okay, writing segment over. Other things I have to say. I've mentioned in a recent video that I was gonna try and like move any book hauling that I do like into these videos and haul a book, like a book at a time, and that will, I think, encourage me to buy fewer books. So I do have one book to show you today, which is a review copy I've just been sent, which is Wonders Never Cease by Lexi Hudson, which I'm very excited to read. I know Lexi in real life. I've known her for years. We used to work together, and this is her debut novel, which is a sort of romantasy, like urban fantasy with a bit of romance about 2 ballet dancers falling in love. And I'm just very, very excited to read this. I'm hoping I will manage to read it in February, but if not, in March. It comes out in May, and I know that it will be wonderful. Okay, I wanted to quickly talk about board games, because Nick and I have been playing some good board games lately, and a board game that Nick gave me for Christmas that I am really enjoying, and I feel like some of you might enjoy, is the Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell board game. Yes, there is a Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell board game, inspired by the book by Susanna Clarke, which is excellent. It is quite complicated. We opened the box and the rule book is like, it's just got a lot of pages, but once we got our head around playing the game, it's really fun and I really like it. And you have to build up like reputation and magicianship in order to defeat the man with the thistledown hair, and it's just really fun and I highly recommend it. But we've also been playing some other great board games. I'm a big fan of Seven Wonders Duel, if anyone has ever played that, which is a very fun city building board game set in the ancient world where you have to try and construct the wonders of the world. And we also have recently discovered a board game called Fiction, which is a Wordle inspired game, but with a sort of deception element built in. So you are trying to guess a 5-letter word, and your opponent has to give you clues, but every round they give you 3 clues, one of which is a lie, which is quite fun. So I've been really enjoying that as well. Then I have various like music and film and theatre stuff that I wanted to talk about that I have been enjoying over the last few months. I've been really enjoying listening to the music of Bastille, who are a band that I was into a bit as a teenager and then kind of hadn't listened to them for ages. And then last year, a friend of mine had a spare ticket to go and see Bastille live, so I went along with her. And they were so good that since then I have just been listening to Bastille semi on repeat, especially their album Ampersand, which is very literary, for want of a better word. There's lots of literary references and stuff about storytelling, which I just really enjoy, and it's just really fun. So I've been very much enjoying listening to Bastille lately. Also been listening to a lot of Belle and Sebastian, who are my favourite band and have been since I was 11. I've liked Belle and Sebastian longer than I've liked Dickens. They have had some really great albums out in the last few years, and I've been really enjoying listening to more of them. I also have been to see a couple of great shows in the theatre over the past few weeks. I went to see the production of Into the Woods by Stephen Sondheim, which is on the Bridge at the moment. I love Into the Woods. It's one of my favourite musicals ever, and the production is really great, especially the second half. I mean, in general, the second half is the best bit of Into the Woods. The first half is there to facilitate the amazingness of the second half in many ways. Into the Woods, if you don't know, is a fairy tale retelling musical, and it's just marvellous and plays with fairy tales in a really excellent way. But I love the music, I loved the design of the show, I thought it was very well acted, and it was wonderful to see. No production of Into the Woods will ever beat the production I first saw of Into the Woods, which was at the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, and there's nothing quite like seeing a production of Into the Woods in the middle of a wooded area in a park, but it was a great production. I also went to see the musical of Moulin Rouge last week, which I really, really enjoyed. And actually, I would go so far as to say enjoyed it more than the film. They've made quite a few changes, some plot changes that I felt really worked, or drawing out certain elements of the plot. And they also have updated quite a lot of the music. Moulin Rouge, if you don't know, is a jukebox musical which is set in Paris in, I guess, the late 19th century, maybe the early 20th century, but despite its setting, it uses lots of modern music. But the film is now, I guess, several decades old. And so in the musical, they have quite a lot of newer music instead, which I thought worked really, really well. The inclusion of Adele's Rolling in the Deep was excellent. So thoroughly enjoyed that. Then I wanted to mention a couple of films that I have seen lately, which I really, really enjoyed. Over Christmas, I finally saw the Wonka film, which I hadn't seen and wasn't that fussed about seeing, but actually was really, really good. Just really charming, really funny, really whimsical. It sort of had a Wes Anderson kind of feel, but in a fun, more accessible way. I do really love Wes Anderson, but every now and then it is a bit too plotless for me. But Wonka had a really good plot, but was also just very tongue-in-cheek, and I just thought it was really, really fun. It is, as you might imagine from the title, a story about Willy Wonka, and it's a sort of prequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I don't really think the character of Wonka in this film, who is quite likeable, has much to do with the character of Willy Wonka in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, who is, quite a toxic person, I guess. But I did really enjoy Wonka as a film. I thought it was great. And then also, Nick and I watched a film called The Holdovers, in January, which was really, really good. So this is a film that is set in the US in the 70s, I think. It is set at a private boarding school over the Christmas holidays, and there is one teacher and a few students left behind, and it's about the dynamic and the sort of friendship between this teacher and the students, and one student in particular, and it's just really, really good. It's just a really great film. I genuinely can't remember the last time I saw a film that good, and it just worked so well and was really powerful. It felt to me like a sort of modern response to Dead Poets Society, which I also actually saw in the last few months, and I thought was good but was not exactly what I expected, and I feel like The Holdovers was more what I wanted Dead Poets Society to be. And I really liked the holdovers. I thought it was great, so I would highly, highly recommend that. Okay, another random thing I have been watching a lot of lately that I really, really have been enjoying is BBC Archives on YouTube. So the BBC, which if you don't know, is in the UK, the state-owned television broadcaster. The BBC have a YouTube channel called BBC Archive where they upload old BBC news stories and documentaries from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and it's just fascinating. There's a lot of just like really interesting social history, and we've been watching quite a lot of the technological ones from the 1980s and 90s and even the early 2000s about the development of mobile phones and computers and the internet. And people, you know, sitting there saying, well, do we think email will really catch on? Like, there's just a lot of really interesting looks into the recent past. And if you're interested in like social and cultural history of the second half of the 20th century, then BBC Archives on YouTube has some amazing stuff. Bit random, but there we go. And talking of YouTube, I have various Booktube favorites that I want to talk about, and various like things to do with Booktube that I wanted to have a chat about today while I'm here talking about all of my miscellaneous stuff. Over the last month or two, I have been loving watching everybody's like favorite books of 2025 videos and everyone's like goals videos for 2026. I really, really enjoy those videos. I feel like January is one of my favorite times on Booktube because of all of those videos. Even now in mid-February, I still have quite a lot of like favorite books of 2025 in my watch later playlist, because I guess I don't watch like every single video from every single person I'm subscribed to, because I'm subscribed to like 300 Booktubers or something ridiculous. Though some of those accounts are inactive now. But anyway, I do pretty much watch the favorite books of the year video from everyone I'm subscribed to, so there's just a lot. So I've been enjoying them in general, but there are a couple of favorite books of the year videos that I wanted to mention. One video I really enjoyed is Tilly from Tilly's Shelf talking about her favorite books of the year on Roz's channel. That's Roz from Scally Dandling About the Books. Roz is Tilly's mum. Tilly's sort of taking a little bit of a break from Booktube, but still appearing on Roz's channel. And I just really enjoyed Roz and Tilly talking about Tilly's favourite books of the year and doing a bit of a Q&A about it. It was really, really fun. And then I also really enjoyed the favourite books of the year videos from Jen the Librarian and Anna Marie from Actual Spinster, because both Jen and Anna Marie give specific and oddly named awards to their favourite books of the year in a way that's just really, really fun. I don't know whether I've explained it very well, but if you want to know what I mean, go and watch Jen and Anna Marie's videos because they're both really fun. While I'm talking about Jen the Librarian, actually, I also really, really loved her book advent calendar that she did in December, where her wife put together like various recommendations into a bookish advent calendar for 24 days, and Jen opened one a day and made a video. I know December feels like a long time ago now, but I thoroughly enjoyed those videos. As I said, I've also been really enjoying people's goals videos and sort of people making plans for the new year, but I've also enjoyed that I feel like a lot of people are taking like a slightly lighter approach to goals in 2026. Emily from Novelle Novels did a really great video of sort of anti-goals, and Nicole from Noteworthy Fiction did a really fun sort of goals / plans video called, I think, Making Plans and Immediately Changing Them. And then another video about like the books that are most likely to distract her from her reading plans, which I thought was really fun. I also wanted to mention Charlotte from Coiny Reads video, reading project I'd like to complete, which is not necessarily like a 2026 goals video, but was like a video reflecting on reading projects and how Charlotte doesn't actually get on very well with reading projects, but like the reading projects that she has done or tried in the past, and I just really enjoyed that video too. Then another kind of like New Year video I really enjoyed lately was one from Kerry Books called My Year in Books. She did this last year as well, where she uses book titles to describe her year in a really fun way. I highly recommend that video. As ever, I always really love watching videos on Booktube that are about classics, and I have a few like classics videos to mention and recommend to you today. So Elizabeth at a Literary Princess did a sort of wrap up and ranking for her 18th century novel project that she was doing in 2025, where she was reading, I think, an 18th century novel a month. And then now that she's finished, she's done a ranking, which I found really, really interesting, and I would highly recommend. I, like Elizabeth, don't always get on with 18th century literature, but I feel like there are lots from her list that I'm really keen to try now. Towards the end of last year, I was really enjoying Kate Howe's like Desert Island Victorian Reads series, and she's continued it on into 2026. Her and Roz from Scally Dandling About the Books did a really great discussion about what 5 Victorian books Roz would bring to a desert island, which I really enjoyed for the variety. Like, I also did one of those videos with Kate, and I feel like I was just like, here are my favourite books, whereas Roz was like, I thought really carefully about what precise kind of books I would be in need of if I were stranded on my own on an island, and I thought that was really fun, so I'd highly recommend that. I also wanted to mention Mark from The Book Thing did a really fantastic review of All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Remarque, which if you haven't read, I would highly recommend. It's a fantastic book, and I'd also very much recommend the review. Then a channel I have quite recently discovered is Andrew from You Could Be Reading More, who last year did some really great rankings of various classic authors. And I think I had one of these videos like in my Watch Later playlist from Booktober, and then I finally got through enough of my Watch Later playlist to watch it, and then went and watched lots of other rankings as well. So Andrew has rankings of Dickens, the Brontes, Austen, Gaskell, Thomas Hardy, I think. So I'll leave all them linked down below, and if you enjoy a ranking video, as I do, I highly recommend them. Talking of rankings, Jim from Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff recently finished reading all of Dickens's novels. Well, I say recently, it was like in November, but anyway, I really enjoyed Jim's ranking of all of his Dickens books, and I'll leave that link down below as well. And then various other bits and pieces and miscellaneous Booktube stuff I wanted to mention. I've been really loving Nicole from A Day of Small Things uni vlogs, talking about doing her masters in English literature, and everything connected to that. I think I especially love that she's doing her masters at Durham, which is where I did my undergrad, so I just like seeing bits of Durham, but also they're really fun vlogs. I'm also so pleased that Jennifer Jelenkova is back making regular YouTube videos. I love her videos and have watched her videos for a really long time. I want to especially recommend a video she did on her 10 most recommended books, the books she sort of recommends to people the most often. I thought that was a really interesting video, and I'll leave that link down below. And I also wanted to mention 3 booktubers who have been cropping up in my subscription feed more in 2026 after having not made videos for a little while. Some of them a longer while than others, but I'm so glad that Oliver from Chaotic Bibliophile is back, that Carl that likes to read is back, that Petra Yu is back. I always really enjoy their videos, and I would highly recommend them, so I will leave their most recent videos down below. And that is quite enough rambling about Booktube from me. Then I have a few video games I want to talk about. I think I'm gonna move this from where I originally filmed it and put it in at the end of the video, because I went on quite a long tangent about a lot of these, and I also appreciate not everyone plays video games, but personally there are lots that I really enjoy, and the video games I'm going to talk about are all quite story led, so I think if you are someone who likes books, you might well like these. My husband Nick and I quite like to play video games together, like story-driven games or puzzle-driven games that we can play as a team, and we've played some really good ones over the past few months. So one game we really enjoyed is called The Root Trees Are Dead, which is a sort of like research ancestry video game where you have to work through various sources and websites and books in order to fill out a family tree of this family called the Root Trees, in order to work out sort of who are the blood relations of this family, following the death of some members of the family. And it's set in the 90s, and the idea is that you're working on like a quite 90s old school computer system with an old school version of the internet, and it's just quite fun. Has a really good sense of humour, and I really enjoyed the like investigative mystery solving element of that game. We also played a game called A Seance at Blake Manor, which is set in the late 19th century. It's a very gothic sort of mystery game where you have been summoned to this house because someone has disappeared, and you're trying to work out what's going on. And there are all these mystics and members of the spiritualist movement here for a big seance that's happening at the end of the weekend. And I sort of both really loved and struggled with this game. I feel like the pacing was not perfect, and I will say that as someone who loves the 19th century, I have like probably much higher standards than most people for like dialogue that's meant to be spoken by 19th century people, and those people did not sound like they were from the 19th century. But the gameplay was really fun, and the atmosphere was excellent, and the sort of more sort of gothic horror-y bits were really good. So it is worth a play if you like that kind of game, and I'd say like if you enjoy a murder mystery dinner party, like those kinds of things, then you will really like Blake Manor, because that's the kind of vibe of the game. Okay, I actually have quite a lot of video games to talk about, but I've been really enjoying playing video games lately. Another game we played is Strange Horticulture, where you are a botanist running a plant shop, and you have to give the right plants to your customers in order to cure their ailments. And it's both like quite dark and gothic, but also quite cozy simultaneously, and that was really fun. And we also played a game called Tacoma, which was really good. This is a story-driven game. So you are an investigator who's been sent to this space station to investigate what happened here, and you are seeing memories that have been recorded by the ship's AI and trying to piece together what happened. And that was really, really good. Very strong story, very strong themes, really, really interesting. And then we also played, final game I have to mention, Return to Grace, which is another like sci-fi AI themed game where you are an archaeologist going to one of the moons of Jupiter in like the year 3800 in order to investigate an AI that has been dormant for 1,000 years. But when you arrive as this archaeologist, the AI is sort of fragmented, and so you are conversing with different elements of the AI. And it's a really interesting game with some interesting concepts. I feel like it could have been longer, but I did enjoy it a lot. Okay, there we go. I feel like I have rambled on for quite long enough, but I hope you have enjoyed this little miscellaneous video full of various bits and pieces. I will leave a link down below where you can buy Top Hat, my short story, on Patreon, where you can find all of the Booktubers and videos that I've mentioned, and the video games and board games and those kind of things I mentioned as well. Everything will be linked down below. And yeah, do let me know if you have played any really good games or seen any good films lately. Do let me know if you have any Booktube recommendations for me. Although I am subscribed to many people that always have a very long watch later playlist, I am always looking for new people to watch as well. And if you have any board games or video games recommendations or anything like that, that would be lovely as well. Otherwise, that is all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.